Testing 1 2 1 2.
Testing 1 2. We can just is that way to turn the camera off real quick? Is that way to turn the camera off? Cameras on live. So I use one for the day. Sorry about that. What's going on, Israel? I'm Precinct Officer Kapari of the Isupk, man, coming at you from Durham, North Carolina, aka Bull City, North Carolina, on this Wednesday night, which means that's a law class. So we're gonna get into the scriptures real heavy, man. Just get into it real quick one time. If you will with me, brother, just turn with me to Matthew 5:17. We're gonna get into the law real quick. And today's Wednesday. So now what month are we in right now, brother? We in what, September, right? Now we just got off of what, a big weekend, so-called what holiday just passed through? So-called Labor Day? You got your mic? 5:17.
Concert.
So, and y'all bear with me. This mic is acting funny today, so hope it ain't too distracting. But yeah, we just came off this big weekend, so-called Labor Day holiday weekend, and I'm saying we. I don't mean we like me or the other brothers and sisters in the ISUBK. I'm just saying we in a general terminology. I'm talking about we as Blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians. So when I say we, I'm not including us. A lot of times when I talk, I always say we, just because I don't want to, make my people feel a certain type of way, because I know at one point in our lifetimes, we were in the world and we was doing some of those same things. We was eating, all sorts of foods. We were eating unlawful foods. We were smoking weed and sleeping with other brothers wild. We was doing certain things in the world too. So when I say things like that, and I say we, and I include us, I'm speaking from like a past tense. So don't think because I say we, I'm talking about us. That's just for people in the world who don't understand. But yeah, we just came off a big holiday weekend, so-called Labor Day weekend. Something that the Lord did not ordain us. The Lord did not authorize for us to celebrate. We have things in here that we're supposed to celebrate as Israelites, brothers and sisters, man. We have things in the Bible that we're supposed to be celebrating. These laws are never so-called done away with, but the Christian church constantly teaches us that. Christian church doesn't teach us God's laws. The Christian church doesn't teach what we're supposed to be following and what we're supposed to be celebrating. We don't know that. We don't know that because we don't actually crack open this book, this Bible, to read and see who is actually talking to or who is actually about. We don't know that. So I'm actually, and furthermore, just on a quick note, like Christ himself never even told us to do this. Christ never told us to follow after that. There was something that Christ was actually telling us to follow and what we were supposed to be doing. I'm gonna show you that today, brother. So if you will, just give me I think we'll start with Matthew 5:17.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Think not that think not that I am come to destroy the law.
So real quick, what color were those words written in? Just for because I don't know, maybe some people out there that maybe never read the Bible for themselves or whatever. I don't know, ain't no telling. But just what color were those words written in?
So those words should have been written in red.
Yeah, right. They're written in red. Meaning what? Meaning that was Christ speaking. Christ was speaking this. Christ stated this. And during this time, who is he speaking to exactly? For context sakes, who anybody that's I guess watching online, you can put your question in the comments online. Who is Christ exactly speaking to at this time? for context sakes, go up to I'm gonna say the first verse. And this is anything you want to do when it comes to like reading the Bible. Like a lot of times, maybe not in all cases, but in a lot of cases when you're reading the Bible, if you ever want, like for context sake, sometimes you either need to read the full verse or you need to just simply go a few verses above it to see exactly who is it talking to exactly. And that's with anything you read, I guess. So just go up to the first verse, Matthew 5:1.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 1. And seeing the multitude, he went up into the mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came. Salakia, his disciples.
His disciples. That's who it was. That's who Christ was talking to. That's who he was surrounded by. He rode with them all day, every day, his disciples, which were Israelites as well. So now go back down to 17.
Well,
it's like it. I'm sorry, like it. Finish that. Finish verse 1 and go to 2.
I don't want to
skip over
Matthew
that.
chapter 5 and verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into the mountain. And when he saw Salakia, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him.
They came unto him. Why? We get ready to find out why. Verse 2.
Verse 2. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying.
And did what?
Opened his mouth and taught them, saying.
Because that's what he was always doing. He was always teaching. Christ was always teaching, man. I mean, even in here, before you can teach, first thing you got to do, man, you got to get taught again. You got to relearn everything. Because, see, we're coming from the world. So a lot of things that we think we know, we really don't know. I think a brother mentioned something last week about, I think it was like fallen angels, or he was talking about heaven and hell, because we're coming from the world, so we don't know any better. So like, that's why we must got to get taught again before we can even try to start teaching or anything, because we don't know nothing. So this is what Christ is doing with them. He's just teaching them like he was always doing. All right, now drop down to 17.
Come. Verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
Now, why is Christ having to say this? He's saying, think not. So don't even think it. Don't even think that I'm coming to destroy the law. Why was Christ having to teach that, though? And again, he's talking to his own disciples. He's having to teach them because they didn't even always catch and understand everything he was always saying. Why was Christ even have to? Why was he even have to teach that to them? The reason why Christ was having to teach that the reason why Christ is still having to teach that was just because, just like in today's time, it's still just like in today's time, that same thing is being taught or not being taught. Like when you look in the world today, that what's been taught is that the laws are done away with, or the most common one is that's the Old Testament. That's what they say. So the two most common things you'll hear now, you'll hear either the laws are done away with, or that's the Old Testament, aka the laws are done away with. So when you hear Christians say things like the laws are done away with, or that's the Old Testament. So like like here we always teach. Of course, we're teaching to keep all the laws, but you'll always hear us say things like eating shrimp, crab, pork, lobster. You'll always hear us say that, right? Because that was a Levitical law. But then you'll hear a Christian will say something like, oh, well, that's the Old Testament. They'll make statements like that, but that's the Old Testament. Meaning what? Meaning, well, we're not living under those times anymore. That's the Old Testament. So we don't have to do that. We don't have to follow those laws and tradition. All while asking for you to pay your tithes. That's what's crazy. You ask Steph your dollar, he constantly wants his money. Go ahead.
Kind of the one kind. Or the prophets.
Or what?
Or the prophets.
Read it from the top.
Kind of one kind. Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
So don't think that I come to destroy what was written. Don't think that I come to destroy the laws that were here. Because this is not in the book of Matthew. So anything that we read after that hadn't even happened yet. So what is Christ referring to? What is he talking about? He could have only been talking about what was already written. So when he's saying he's not come to destroy the law, he's not coming to destroy any of these things. He's not coming to do this so-called do away with the law. Go ahead. Keep going.
Kind of one kind. Or the prophets.
Or anything that the prophets have stated. anything that the prophets have said, because who were the ones that had wrote the law? It was the prophets. Those were the ones that wrote the law, instructed from the Lord. So anything that Moses had wrote down or instructed to the Israelites and instructed to the people, the Lord Christ wasn't trying to destroy any of that. He wasn't trying to go against any of that. If anything, he was trying to raise the bar. If anything, keep going.
Khan. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Do what?
But to fulfill.
Now Christ is saying it himself. Now this is his own words. This is Christ's own words. This is written in red. I'm looking at him for my daggone self. This is written in red. So now, if this is written in red, because even a Christian will tell you that one. Well, if it's written in red, that means Christ said it. So then then here's the question I got for them, Sadak. If Christ is saying this, but Christians are saying another, why are you as a Christian and Christ saying two different things?
Right.
Why are you and Christ saying two different things? Because Christ is literally saying in here that he's come not to destroy the law or the prophets. He didn't come to destroy the law or anything that the prophets have stated. He didn't come to destroy any of that, but he came to fulfill this law. Now, what does that word mean, that part, that fulfill? What does that mean? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say to make whole, to make come full circle. Make sure it happens.
What do you mean when you say to make it happen? What?
To make sure that it happens, the law.
What do you mean when you say to make sure it happens? Explain. Like, I mean, I know what you mean, but if you talk to somebody on the street that didn't know, what?
To make sure that the law happens, to make sure that it's fulfilled. That
like give me an example. You said to bring the full circle. Like, I mean, I know what you mean, but I'm speaking, from somebody that's coming from the world. Let's just put it in the way of, like, somebody in the world will understand it.
At the end of the day, when it comes down to the laws being fulfilled, and to make sure that it comes full circle, meaning that, it's not going to negate from the law. Whatever the law is written is going to be, was written before, is going to be the law that comes now. And he's going to be the one to make sure that it happens.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I'll take it. Yes. So when Christ was fulfilling the law, man, he was just coming to demonstrate that. That's what Christ was doing. He was just coming to demonstrate that law. So when it means, read that part again about the fulfill.
Mm-hmm. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
But to fulfill, man. He was coming to demonstrate that law. And the reason why he was coming to do that is because even his own disciples were still not having to understand it with certain things, which is why he was even having to teach them as well. So now you got to ask yourself a question like this. So if Christ was even having to teach them, you don't think you yourself needs to be retaught neither? That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, if Christ was having to come down and teach his own disciples, then what about you, man, as a Christian? What, you think you know more than Christ now? Like, the arrogance of that, man. And it's just sad because now, because of those things that the Christian church are teaching, by teaching, I mean not teaching, but because of those things, now we want to celebrate and follow, after every other custom of the heathens or after America. But then we're not following what we're supposed to be following and keeping the tradition that we're supposed to be keeping. So, I mean, because I think back to what happened over the weekend. Like, even in my own neighborhood and where I live at, it was crowded, like, because people was having cookouts and barbecues, celebrating Labor Day weekend. And I'm looking at this, and I'm not, I ain't trying to get nobody business, I'm on my own, but I'm just like, well, damn, look at our people. We're celebrating after everything and following after America. And I don't know if you heard about it or not, but I just saw something that happened in Philadelphia over Labor Day weekend. I don't know if you heard about it or not, Sadat. There was it was a crazy shooting. Like, a bunch of people got shot and killed in Philadelphia over Labor Day weekend. And then people always want to know why every time, there's like a holiday or something that happens, there's always some sort of mass shooting or killing that happens. But I'm like, but that's the spirit behind these holidays, though. That's the spirit behind these holidays, man. Like, if you think about majority of these holidays that we have, it's always after some sort of killing or something. you know, whether you go to what is it? 4th of July, then there's Halloween, then there's Thanksgiving. All of it has to do with something that's evil or somebody dying or a mass group of people dying. It's sickening. And our own people don't even realize what we're following. Go ahead.
Verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law.
So in no wise pass from the law, meaning nobody gets a pass from the law, because heaven and earth is still here, man. Last time I checked, it's still here. We're still to keep these laws, and even after, man, we're still to keep these. But see, because we're not being taught that, because we don't understand who we are, therefore we don't look at the Bible as, I think I might have said last week, we don't look at the Bible as our constitution. We don't look at the Bible as our books of records. We don't look at the Bible as our history book, because it is a history book. You know, regardless of how you want to look at it, it is a history book, but we don't look at it like that. So because we don't look at it like that, therefore we just take it, for granted. It's like a drop down to before I start getting to my other precept. Drop down to 21. Yeah, let's drop down to 21. This is for the Christians out there that think that the laws are done away with, or that's the Old Testament. Well, let's see what Christ was actually referring to when he was talking about that. Look, when Christ was saying, "I come not to destroy the law or the prophets." Well, remember I said this is the book of Matthew, right? This is the New Testament. So what was he referring to? We get ready to see.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time.
Now, what is that talking about? What was that talking about? Them of old time. Let me see if there's anybody on the chat. Do we have the Facebook up, or we just got okay? So let me see if there's anybody online. What does that mean about them of old time?
So like you said,
because this is Christ speaking still. So ye have heard that it was said by them of old time. What was Christ talking about when he's saying old time? Go ahead.
So like you said, he's talking about the priests and the prophets before him.
Right. Just like he mentioned earlier, he's not come to destroy the law or the prophets, like you said, Sadak. The priests and prophets that came before him, them of old time. He's referring to the Old Testament. He had to be. What's the first book of the New Testament?
So like you said, Genesis.
No, of the New Testament.
Oh, Salakia, sir.
The first book of the New Testament. It's the book of Matthew, right? Right. So what was he talking about? This is the first book in the New Testament. So when he says them of old time, what happened before that time of Matthew? It was literally the Old Testament. I mean, literally. He said it was heard by them of not a new time, but of old time. He's referring to the Old Testament. Keep going.
Sir.
So take it down. That's what.
Go
ahead.
Salakia. Thou shalt not kill.
Say what?
Thou shalt not kill.
Where was that written at?
This is in Matthew chapter 5 and 21.
Right. So it says them of old time. So now I'm telling you that it's the Old Testament. But how do you know that it's referring to the Old Testament when it says old time? I mean, obviously the fact that it says old time, yes. But literally the next verse says, thou shalt not kill. Well, where do you first see that at in the book, in the Bible? The Old Testament, is it not? That's literally where it starts at. You see that right there in the Old Testament. So that's what Christ was referring to. Keep going. And you know what? And while we at it, thou shalt not kill. You know what's crazy? You know what's funny to that? Like, we'll hear, like, okay, people in the world probably may not be able to relate to this, but at times we'll be at camp and, you'll have an officer or a captain that's on the podium teaching, right? And then you always have that one nut that'll come out here, that'll come out and say things like, man, that's the Old Testament, man. That was back then. That was one of those times. Anytime we say things like, man, we shouldn't be following after these nations of people. We shouldn't be following after these heathens or participating in these things. We should be coming back together, loving one another. Anytime we start talking about that, you always, whether black or white, you always have somebody that'll come out and say something like, "Oh man, that's times are old. That's Old Testament, or that was back then, or the laws are done away with." We always hear that, but you know what? You know what? Nobody ever argues about two things. They'll never argue, "Thou shalt not kill," or they'll never argue, what's about paying tithes. Those are the two. They never argue those. That like you are almost. I've been here not that long, but even for my short period of time hearing the truth, I've never heard anybody say that to me or any or even a debate that I've seen other brothers in. I've never seen or heard any person go, "Thou shalt not kill." Oh, well, that's the Old Testament or the laws. I've never heard anybody say that when it comes to "Thou shalt not kill" or paying tithes. I've never heard that, not once. I wonder why. Start from the top, from 21.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill. Keep going.
And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment.
Shall be in danger of the judgment, meaning what?
Salakia, sir. Meaning the punishment of going against the law, sir.
Right. The punishment of the law. Because whatever that punishment was, because for every law, there's always a punishment. Like, don't get me wrong, like a sin is sin, a law is a law. But for every, law, there's always a different punishment for it, right? So that's what Christ is referring to. So now Christ is basically stating the Old Testament. That's basically what he's doing in verse 21. Now watch this. Now we're going to verse 22.
Verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment.
Stop right there. So now what's going on right here in verse 22? What we read from verse 21 to 22, what we read so far. What's going on so far? Like, now you got to understand, whenever you read the word but, that's always a conjunction word. You know what I mean? So like when you see but, like when somebody says something and then there's a but, it's always like an interjection. And then they get ready to say something that's almost like, I don't want to say counterproductive, but it's almost something like that. It's like almost going against, in a sense. I don't want to say go against. And it starts off with that. It says but. Matter of fact, if we can, let's see if we can get that definition of but real quick. B-U-T. This is to get the literal definition of what it is, because that is a conjunction word. And normally when you're reading any type of text, typically you won't see the word but starting off at the beginning of a sentence. Typically it's in the middle of a sentence, and then there's the comma. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the language expert, but I do know that much about that word. So just read the definition of but when you get it.
Sir. This is the Google definition of but. B-U-T, conjunction, used to introduce a phase or cause contrasting with what has already been mentioned.
Right. So in other words, so you're bringing up a point that help, basically like to build up another point or to help boost an argument when you're bringing in the word but, because it is a conjunction word. Now, start from 22. I think we read it, but we'll read 22 again, because this is Christ. This is what Christ is saying. He's saying, but I say unto you, you can finish the rest.
That's where we were, sir. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment.
So now what's going on here in 22 for what we just read? What was Christ saying in 22? And I'll give you a clue. In order to know exactly what Christ was talking about in 22, you would have to know what he was stating in 21. And this is where a lot of Christians will get tripped up at. And this is where they mess up at. That's where this concept of the laws are done away with comes from, or that's Old Testament. Take your time.
Salakia, sir. Ask that one more time, sir.
I'm asking, what is 22 saying so far? But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. I'm asking, what is Christ doing? Like, what is he saying right now? Because in 21, we basically read what? In verse 21, Christ is basically quoting the Old Testament. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's basically quoting the Old Testament, because we read in the verse earlier where he was saying in verse 17, think not that I come to destroy the law. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. So he's telling his disciples, I'm not destroying anything. I'm not changing anything of the law. I'm not destroying the law. I'm not changing the law. I'm not changing what the prophets wrote. I'm not changing anything that Moses had wrote. So when we get to 21, he literally quotes the Old Testament by stating, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. That's in the Old Testament. That's in Exodus, 20? The 20th chapter, I believe. That's literally in Exodus, which is in the Old Testament. So in 21, he's quoting the Old Testament. But when we get to 22, this is what Christ says. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother, because 21 is saying, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger. But Christ says what? On the flip side, Christ is saying what?
But.
But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. What is he saying?
He's kind of still reiterating that the law is the law, sir.
Yes, you're right. You're correct. He is, but it's something more that he's doing though. We'll finish it out.
Kind of the one kind, sir. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council.
Rakah just means to tear down or to bring to a lower state. That's what that means. It's actually a Greek, I think it was an acronym, if I'm not mistaken, but the Rakah just means
adjective.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what it is. And it just means to tear down or to bring to a lower state. So if you were to do that to your brother, that's all that means.
Salakia, sir.
I
have a definition here.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, the definition is on the Google and it's in the Bible dictionary.
Oh, please, by all means. Are you reading the Zondervan definition first? Okay. Yeah. I mean, we can get both too. I'll see if I can. Because I got the Google definition, but I'll let you read the Zondervan first.
So, this is the Zondervan definition of the word Rakah. Empty, vain, or worthless.
Yep. That's exactly what it means. And that's the same thing. I pulled it up as well on Google. It's the same thing. Empty, worthless, or vain. Vain meaning nothing. So how do we do that to our brothers? That should be an easy one. We do that every damn day. Come on. Come on. You can give me tons of examples of that, of how we do that to our brothers. We do that every day. You want to understand? And I almost hate to use that term. God knows I hate to use that term. But the black on black crime, even with that, I mean, we do that every day to our brothers. We don't look at each other as we're worthy enough, as we're worthy. We look at each other as we're worthless, which is why it's so easy to take a brother's life. You know, for what? For a pair of shoes? Because the brother got some nice shoes or something that you like, that you want. I mean, we don't view ourselves as anything, man. We view ourselves as less than. That's why it's so easy to take our lives. It's so easy to do that. So much so to a point where it's like, it's no wonder why a heathen will kill us with no problem. It's no wonder why the police murder us left and right. It's no wonder, because if we don't value our own lives, of course a heathen ain't going to value our lives. Of course they're not going to value our lives. But you know who we won't go and harm? Not saying we should harm them. We won't go harm that so-called Jewish man. Right. Or our oppressors. We won't go and harm them. Again, not saying we should do that, because we shouldn't. but we won't go and harm them, but we go kill and harm our brother that's right next to us. Because why? Because it seems like it's a lot easier. Because it's easier to kill, the person that's in your neighborhood or your next door neighbor. I mean, they're right next door to us. Go ahead. Well, yeah. We was at Rakah, right?
Kind you want me to?
Yeah, you can finish that out.
Kind on the con, sir. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council.
Right. So now what is that part stating? Because Christ was doing something. I mean, you're right with the answer that you gave, but he's doing something because Christ is quoting the Old Testament in verse 21. But then in 22, when he says, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger. So in verse 21, it's saying, it says, thou shalt not kill. It says, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But in 22, Christ didn't even say kill. What is Christ saying? Excuse me. In verse 22, Christ is saying what? What is he doing? Because Christ, he didn't even say kill. Christ is saying if you're being angry with your brother, if you're angry with your brother without a cause, what is that? What is angry with your brother out of? Well, I think we just went over that. I think we just did that with Rakah.
Okay.
You angry with your brother without a cause because he got a pair of J's on or something. He got some nice shoes, or he got jewelry, or whatever reason you upset and you hating on your brother and you decide to take his life because it's so easy. It's so easy, man. When we look at ourselves like that, it's so easy to take one of us our lives because we look at ourselves as nothing, vain, worthless. So it's so easy to take our lives, So when it's saying angry with your brother without a cause, meaning that's not a real reason. That's not a real reason to be angry with your brother, not even kill. But that's not a real reason to be angry with your brother. So what Christ is actually doing, he was raising the bar. He was upping the ante, so to speak. That's what Christ is doing. So Christ was never changing anything. So when a Christian reads something like this, they'll read verse 21 and they'll read, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. So then when they read 22 and they read Christ saying, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. They read that verse and you know what they're thinking? They're thinking that Christ changed the law. But realistically, if you think about it this way, if you'll be in danger of the judgment, right? If you'll be in trouble, if you'll be in danger of the judgment just because you're angry with your brother without a cause, well, sure enough, what do you think will happen if you kill your brother? Right. Like that, like what Christ is doing, that right there would eliminate a lot of things, would eliminate a lot of problems. Think about it on this note. And I think if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I go a few verses down. Let's do it this way. It might make a little bit more sense if we drop down to the 27th verse. I'll try to bring it home. Drop down to 27 and read that one.
Verse 27. Oh, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 27.
Right.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time.
Old Testament.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Where's that at? Is that not in the Old Testament?
Kind of the one kind.
Now, what is adultery?
Salakia.
Mm-hmm.
Adultery is when a woman sleeps with a man that is not her husband, or when a man sleeps with a woman that is already married to another man.
Yep. And there's a third one.
When they go and sleep with animals and white people.
Well, that's fornication. But the other one was the brother putting his wife away too.
Kind of.
That's the third one. But yes, that's what adultery is. So now go to 28. Now again, once again, Christ was quoting the Old Testament because he's not changing anything. Now let's read 28.
Kind of the one kind. Book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 28. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her.
And what is lust? Lust is just a strong urge or desire strong urge or desire, man. So that means, and realistically, you can lust after anything. You can lust after money, women, power, rulership. You can lust over a lot of things. But in this context specifically, what was it talking about lusting after?
A woman, sir.
Right. Well, not just a woman, but
Someone else's woman.
thank you. Thank you. Another man's woman. Go ahead. Finish that out.
Kind. I'll just start from the top.
Yeah,
sir.
no sweat.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 28. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Meaning in his mind. Okay, so now in 27, Christ was basically what? He was quoting that law. He was giving that law. That's what that was. He was quoting the law. He was quoting the Old Testament. But in 28, what is he doing? This one might break. I think I can break it home with this one. What's going on in 28 though? Is Christ changing anything? What is he? Let me do it this way. Why is Christ using the words he's using? Why didn't, like in verse 28, why didn't he repeat what he said in 27?
Right.
Let me do it that way. Why is Christ having to say this? Because in 27 it's saying what? Thou shalt not commit adultery. And we explain what adultery is, right? It's a married woman that decides to sleep with another man, or a man sleeping with another brother's wife, meaning a woman that's already married, and this brother decides to sleep with that woman for whatever reason. That's adultery. Or if the brother puts his own wife away. Those are the three forms of adultery. Now, it says thou shalt not commit adultery. But then in 28, what is Christ saying though? He's saying that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery. So Christ saying you ain't even gotta have sex with her. The fact that you're looking at her like that, and in your mind, you want to have, you have no sexual urges and desires to sleep with that married woman, you've already sinned. You've already messed up. But what? But the question is, why is Christ saying that though? Like, why is he saying that in verse 28? Why is he saying it in these words specifically? Again, we're still on the topic of the laws are not done away with, because a Christian to read this one and then, like the verse we read before, they'll read that and think, okay, well, Christ changed the law or he did something, but he wasn't changing anything, because he even stated in 5:17, think not that I come to destroy the law. So don't think that I come to change the law. I don't think that I come to change the law or change what the prophets have stated. So what is he doing in verse 28?
Salakia, sir, he's giving you another example.
Yeah, you're right. He's given an example, but it's a little more detailed than just an example. Because Christ could have gave an example about anything. Christ could have gave an example of paying tithes. Paying tithes. He could have gave an example of not eating, unlawful foods. But why specifically this one though? It's a reason for why he was doing it, and the way he was saying it, because he could have just okay, if Christ, let's say if verse 28 wasn't here, and it was just verse 27 by itself, would that have been wrong? If Christ had just said verse 27, right? If he just said thou shalt not commit adultery and left it at that, would he have been wrong? Nah, he wouldn't have been wrong. But what is the purpose of 28? And you're right. You said to give an example. You're correct. But it's a little deeper than just that. And what I mean by a little deeper than just that is this. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman. So basically what Christ is doing, he's trying to teach his disciples more than just the law. Because it's more than just saying, okay, don't sleep with my wife. Or Sadak, as a brother, I'm not gonna sleep with your wife. It goes a step further than that. I'm gonna put it in real time. I'm gonna put it in modern day time. I'm probably trying to make it a little personal, because I think brothers and sisters will get it this way. All right, let's say if you're a brother, right? It's wrong to sleep with another brother's wife. The other brother knows the same thing. It's wrong to do that. It's fair, no problem, no arguments here. Even the Christians, to some extent, might agree on that one. Might. But now let's say if You have a rib, right? Now, she might be, it might be a brother that's in her inbox, because we're now in the age of social media. Now, it's a brother that's in her DM talking to her, shooting a shot or whatever the case may be. He's talking to her, and then you look at your wife like, what you doing? Like, what are you doing? She might look at you like, hey, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't slept with the brother. I ain't did nothing. But you as a man, you know that's wrong. You're like, bitch, what the, like this man, obviously this man's like, he finds you attractive, which is nothing wrong with it, but why is he in your DMs? She like, babe, I don't know. He just, I don't know. Because, women love attention. So you could be a brother working 12, 13-hour shifts, and you're like, damn, I'm tired, babe. Not tonight. I'm just, And then the woman might not want to commit adultery, but she's like, damn, boy, I need some attention. Like, damn, and then the brother shooting a shot, she like, hey, I'm a married woman, whatever, but she like the attention. And then you happen to just be doing whatever, and you might get on Facebook or Twitter or whatever y'all using today, and you might say something like, okay, who the fuck is this keep liking my wife's picture like this, bro? And you go in and click on the profile, Gerard. Hey, babe, who the Gerard? Who do you? Oh, that's just some dude online, whatever. He was, you liking my pictures. Yeah, I get he might have liked this one picture, but why is he liking multiple pictures? And then he's putting these comments on, like, what's going on? She might be like, babe, it ain't nothing. And you like, hold up, but something's going on. Now he's in your DMs. What are you doing? She might be like, well, look, babe, I haven't committed adultery. You might say, you know what? We need to go to counsel. So then you go to counsel, and she's sitting there like, well, I ain't slept with the brother. I haven't slept with the brother. I haven't committed adultery. Who would be wrong? According to the law, who would be wrong in that situation? Or let me do it this way. Would the sister be wrong according to the law in that situation? And this kind of answers verse 28 of the question I was asking. So would that sister, so Sadak, would that sister be wrong? Why wouldn't she be wrong? Yeah, because again, it's a brother that's online. He DM her. He's in her messages. Sister hadn't committed adultery, but her husband is offended. So he takes his sister to counsel, like, yo, we need counsel. So in counsel, the sister's going, well, okay, yeah, the brother's in my DM, but I'm like, hey, I'm married or whatever. So she hadn't committed adultery. So they go to counsel. So would that sister be in the wrong according to counsel, or excuse me, according to the law? Would that sister be wrong?
I don't think the sister would be wrong. It would be the brother that was wrong for coming at the sister.
Why would the brother be wrong?
Because he's trying to inbox a married woman, talking to another man's wife.
So in that counsel, the brother that's married, the two that's married, the brother and sister, and then the third brother trying to shoot us out. All three of them in counsel. So you're saying the brother would be wrong.
Shooting a shot at a married woman, and he knows she's married.
Mm-hmm. So now what about the sister?
If the sister did what she was supposed to do, are we being vague here? Or are we saying that she
Well, I'm in the scenario that I'm giving.
The scenario that you give, she told her husband that this guy was trying to DM me, and he is DMing.
No, I didn't say she told her husband that. See, no.
So she didn't tell.
That's why if you heard in an analogy, I was saying the brother gets on Facebook and sees the comments and sees the like and go, hey baby, what's going on? And then you might have missed it, but then the sister responds and say, well, I didn't sleep with him, so I didn't commit adultery. But remember what we read in here in verse 28. We'll read it again. But I say unto you, matter of fact, I'll read it. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery. So we know that the brother will already be wrong. He might not have slept with his sister, but the fact that this is a married woman, even if the brother didn't know she was married, but the moment she says, hey, I'm married, it should have stopped there. Not just on the brother's part, it should have stopped on the sister's part too, because she's wrong. Because think about you as a man, you have a rib, and there's a brother in her DMs. Why is she DMing the brother? Even if the brother initiated the conversation, it should have went this way. Hey, I'm married, and it should have stopped there. And if the brother continued, what should the sister have done? Yeah, blocked him or went to the husband, either or. But see, she will also be in trouble as well. Now, I can't say what counsel would say and what they would do with the sister, because it should have stopped there. Because you use yourself as an example. You being a man, if your rib was doing that, somebody hit her DM, she might not, do anything physically with the brother, but the fact that the conversation is there. Because you got to realize what Christ is doing. He's raising the bar. Because you have to think, I got to use a worldly term. That term cheating, how does cheating start? How does it start? Like with a sister whoring on her man. I'll put it in the most PG-13 way. A sister whoring on her husband starts some way, right? That's why I was using that analogy. It starts somewhere. Like, think carnal for a second. Just think evil for a second. Right. It starts at looking. It starts somewhere. It starts at looking. It starts at a DM. It's like nobody just wakes up in the bed and, oh, damn, shoot, we slept together last night. It doesn't happen like that. There's a process that happens to this. So when Christ is saying this in verse 28, he's given the entire spirit of the law. Because if it was just 27 by itself, we were still having problems. Because it's like saying, okay, well, maybe the sister didn't sleep with the brother, but you as a man, black man at that, you're not going to feel comfortable with your rib, talking to another man. You wouldn't feel comfortable. Like, tell me straight up, would you be okay with that? Hell no, you wouldn't be okay with that. So this eliminates a lot of problems. So although the sister might not, still going with the analogy, although the sister might not go and sleep with the brother or nothing, but the fact that she's even having a conversation like that, like if this brother is trying to shoot a shot, like what the sister should have did was just put it to stop altogether and just either blocked him or told her husband or just say, hey, I'm married, and ended at that. But the fact that this keeps going on, because eventually it'll lead to something else. And this is what Christ is saying, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart, meaning in his mind, because that's really where it starts. That's really where the term cheating or adultery, that's where it really starts. It starts in your mind, whether it's on the man, whether it's the man or the woman that initiates that conversation. That's where it starts. It starts there. It starts in your mind. So forget the whole thing about sleeping with another brother's woman. You don't even have to go that far. The fact that you're even trying to shoot your shot at at a married woman, that right there is worthy of death, or whatever the council decides. So what Christ is doing throughout this chapter, he's giving the spirit of the laws to his disciples for them to really understand it. So in order to really understand like these laws, you have to get the spirit that's behind it. So using that analogy, and I hope I didn't lose you with the analogy, but using that analogy, what you want to take home is to have the actual spirit of that, to learn behind it. If you really love your husband, you wouldn't even entertain certain conversations like that. So if you really love your brother, you wouldn't even entertain certain conversations, man. You will try to avoid certain things. If you want to avoid that with your brother, you don't even want to offend your brother. You don't even want to offend your brother. You don't even want to make it seem like that you're trying to do something with your sister, that happens to be married. That's what Christ was doing. He was trying to instill these things. Like, he was trying to instill these things within his disciples at that time. And in order to grasp that concept, man, you got to be in the right frame of mind. Because think about if we had that mindset as Israel. If we had that mindset together as Israel, as blacks and Hispanics, like, you know what? I'm going to try not to offend my brother. So I don't want to even entertain that. I don't want nobody to look at it the wrong way or whatever. Like I remember, I won't say no names, but a sister was trying to like get in contact with her husband or something. I guess his phone was broke or whatever. She was trying to get in contact with her husband, but she knew her husband was with me. So she had to send me a DM or whatever to get in contact with me. And what I do as a brother, I was like, hey, bro, Sharib, she was trying to get in contact with you, but she had to hit me up. So now I'm doing that in the spirit of brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like, that's the mind frame we have to be in. Like doing stuff like that could eliminate a lot of things, but because we're not being taught that, and we're being taught, well, that's the Old Testament and the law done away with, we'll never read things like this, or we'll never try to apply it to our lives, because we're constantly saying things like, oh, well, the laws are done away with, or that's the Old Testament. So because we say stuff like that, we'll never view it like that, man. All right. Was that the end of that? Yeah. You got any questions or comments on that?
La, sir. And not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. Salakia. That's the wrong verse. Salakia. No, we were at the end of 28.
Oh, that was 28?
Yeah, that was
Cool.
the end of 28.
Okay. Drop that. Now give me 8. Wait. Doing that. Where am I at? No, it's 28. Give me 1 John 2 and 3. But yeah, before we even go there, give me Amos. What is it? Amos 5. I need the what is it about the spies the holidays? It's Amos 5 and 20. I think it's 5 and 21. I think it's Amos 5 and 21.
Sir.
I need that real quick.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 21. I hate.
What?
I hate.
Oh man, what does that mean?
He dislikes.
Dislike. I hate. Go ahead.
I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
Man, the Lord hates this. The Lord hates our so-called feast days, man. What we have here in America, what's going on. The Lord hates this stuff. The Lord's not participating in this or wants us participating in this. We want to celebrate Labor Day, Thanksgiving, so-called Christmas, which is nowhere in the Bible. Like, we want to celebrate and follow after our oppressors. And then we wonder why we have these mass shootings. And I say this every so-called holiday weekend, at camp or if I teach a class or whatever. Any time that there's a holiday or something, a holiday weekend, notice there's always a crazy mass shooting somewhere going on. So it might not happen in your house or your city and state, but somewhere across America during that holiday weekend, what it was 4th of July weekend, Memorial Day, Labor Day, whatever holiday weekend, there's always some mass shooting. And I say it every time. As a matter of fact, give me a second. I'm gonna get to the article. There's a I might have to get you to either read it off my phone or I might have you read it on the computer. Do we have the stuff up on the computer?
Can you just send it to me on my phone?
I could. Let me see. Yeah, I'll send it to you on your phone. Yeah, I'll have to do it that way. But I'll just read it out real quick. 31 people shot, 10 fatal, and 20 carjackings in Philly during Labor Day weekend. 55 shot, 11 fatal in Chicago during Labor Day weekend. So now you could just Google Labor Day weekend Philly, Labor Day weekend Chicago. So just open 2 tabs and pull them both up. And we could just read both of them and just go. We can just we'll probably do the Philly first, and then we'll just work our way on down. And I got other precepts as well pertaining to these holidays. But we were never supposed to be following after this, man. Like following after that stuff will keep us in the condition that we're in now. Every time you turn around, there's like every so-called holiday weekend, there's always a mass shooting somewhere around. And the reason for that is because that's the real spirit behind these holidays, which is why I'm reading the spirit that we have now that Christ was trying to do. Christ was trying to give us and teach us the right spirit to have. He was trying to teach us the spirit of the law. So if we actually had the spirit of the laws, we wouldn't follow after that. We'll read Amos 5 and 21, and we would know not to celebrate Labor's Day. We would know not to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and Halloween. Like we would know not to celebrate that. We would know that. And we wouldn't have to worry about that. And now I know what somebody might be thinking. Well, those are cities like Philadelphia and Chicago. Those things go on normally, which is true. They go on the regular. But at the same time, those crime rates go way up. They skyrocket. You can look at the crime, and any city has crime, black or white. But if you notice, when you see that, it's 2 things you got to notice. The crime rate, the percentage goes up during those weekends. Literally, the police will tell you, yeah, we got to have extra security or we got to have extra police during these times because we know time. And you from Chicago too, are you not? So and you can correct me if I'm wrong. During those times, as soon as that happens, the police already know. Well, you know what? Crime getting ready to go up because we Labor Day weekend, right? Or spring break or whatever the case may be. Is this weekend crime getting ready to go up? It's getting ready to go up. It's getting ready to skyrocket. like it always does. So that's one thing you got to notice. Two things you got to notice is why is it if crime is gonna go up like that because it's a holiday weekend, are blacks and Hispanics and Indians, are we the only people that celebrate holidays? Are we the only people that celebrate Halloween and Christmas and Labor Day weekend? So you telling me it was only niggas like it was only blacks and Hispanics celebrating Labor Day weekend? We were the only people having cookouts for Labor Day weekend. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me, right? We 12 to 13% of the population, and we the only people celebrating Labor Day for the weekend. We the only people that were having cookouts. No, couldn't have been. Of course, white people. Of course, Arabs, East Indians, Asians, or whatever. Of course, they were celebrating it too and having cookouts. But here's the question that I gotta ask for you. So if all those groups of people, if all those other groups of people were celebrating Labor Day weekend and having cookouts, why is it? Matter of fact, you got the story?
It didn't come through yet. Did you send it?
No, I was saying just Google it. Just type in Philly Labor Day weekend and then open another tab and pull up Chicago Labor Day weekend. Because I mean, yeah, and then it should be like one of the first links that pop up. But why is it if all those groups of people are celebrating the holiday Labor Day weekend, why is it the crime that happened only happened to the blacks and Hispanics? Why is that? I'm willing to bet money. I put up $20. I put up $100. Hell, I put up 1,000. I'll put up 1,000 right now. $1,000 that it was nothing but blacks and Hispanics. I guarantee you. Please show me that happening to a bunch of groups of whites, or show me that happening to the Asian community. Show me that happening to them. That there's it was a group of Asian, it's a group of Asian people or Asian descent that was having a cookout during Labor Day weekend, and somehow or another there was carjackings and shootings and killings that happened. I want to hear about this one. Somebody please show me that article. I want to know where that's at. Now, I want you to read the Chicago first, since you're from Chicago. So, you got Philly? I mean, you can read whatever, you know.
I think I got one.
Which one you got? I'll get the opposite. Which one you got?
This one is Philly. It says 2 dead after shooting in Hunting Park section of Philadelphia, 4 others injured. The victims are among the more than 24 people who have been shot this Labor Day weekend in the city.
Jesus Christ. More than 24 people that were shot in Philadelphia. Now, see, I wish I had some Philadelphia brothers in here right now so they could tell. What park was that?
Hunting Park.
Hunting Park. Yeah, because see, I know those Philadelphia brothers. I know they would know. Hunting Park. But I mean, so that me and you both, we can put our lives on the line and we know who that is.
Right.
Okay, we know. We know who that is. That ain't nothing but blacks and Hispanics, man. That's what's surrounded about that, because the spirit of the Lord is not behind, the spirit of the Most High is not behind that. So then you got to ask, what spirit is behind that Labor Day weekend? And then you wonder why. You wonder why so much death and destruction going on, so many killings and carjackings and shootings and murdering that's going on during Labor Day weekend in the same cities. You wonder why? Because this isn't going. I don't know if that's West Philadelphia. I don't know. I don't know what part of. I know West Philadelphia isn't like the nice side of Philadelphia.
Salakia, sir. I have Chicago here as well.
You got that too? Give me a second.
And it's actually way worse.
Oh, I know. I can imagine. So now, was that all that you read with the Philadelphia?
That was it. It just went into the stories and the details at the end of the day. Like, I'm basically just reading what the top says.
Yeah. Give me the meat and potatoes. I ain't got to get into the side dishes or nothing. But
right.
Give me the
Chicago
yeah, because you from Chicago, so you would know these areas better than I would.
For the most part.
So you could tell me what's what.
Right, but this ain't even gonna be pinpointing. It says here, this is Chicago ABC 7. Says Chicago shootings, 55 shot.
Hold up.
11 fatality in Labor Day weekend violence across the city. Police say.
Jesus Christ. You said 55 that was shot and then 11 was fatal?
Concert.
Man, come on. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is because this is not for us. We shouldn't be following after this anyway. This is every week. That's why, like, when them so-called holiday weekends come up, I stay in the house. Like, if I ain't at work or at camp, I stay in the house. Like, seriously, that's why, like, and for those of y'all that may not know, man, you being in the school actually might save your life from that. Because think about like this, Sadat. What if you were still back home in Chicago and you weren't in the truth? You might have been, I don't know what you did in the world, don't need to know. You might have been out there in the world, you might have been out there at a cookout or at a party celebrating, Labor Day weekend. And you could have been that, 11 you said? You could have been 11, one of the 11. Or the 55. You could have been one of the 55 that got shot and injured, or you could have been the 11 that got killed. But instead, where you at? You in here, man, at camp. And since I've been in the school, again, I ain't been in that long, but since I've been here at the school, I've never heard of brothers being at camp and then there's a shooting that happened at camp and then a brother get hit. Now, I've heard of brothers being at camp and brothers get to shooting across the street or somewhere else, but the brothers who are in the camp are safe. I mean, unless you heard something different, Sadat. You about to say something?
No, I'm like reading through here, and one of these literally is in the area where I grew up.
Whoa, hold on. Say that again in the mic,
Concert. One of these shootings, it says a man was fatally shot at a gas station Saturday afternoon in Pullman on the south side. Pullman is basically so I grew up in Roseland, and Pullman was what we call down the hill from Roseland.
So, and that's south side Chicago?
Concert.
Pullman. And what's that, a street?
Pullman is just the area.
Okay.
It's like the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Concert.
Wow. So now you got a person that was fatally, you said a man that was fatally shot in Pullman.
It says a man was fatally shot.
Man.
At a gas station.
Wow, right at the gas station. And this is crazy. And there's no telling what it was over. And we just went over brotherhood, man.
There's more.
Oh, shoot. Go ahead.
Concert. Saturday afternoon in Pullman on the south side. About 3:50 p.m., Thaddeus White, 28, was in the 700 block of East 103rd Street when he got into an argument with someone who pulled a gun from a fanny pack and fired shots.
Good.
Police and the other Cook County Medical Examiner's offices said White was struck in the chest, finger, and forearm, police said. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center where he was pronounced dead.
Jesus Christ, man. This is sad. No, like this is really sad, man. This is what goes on. And I always think about stuff like that. And I'm glad you read that one because you're from that area. So you know about that. Like, that's not on the nice side of Chicago. And by the way, who's living in that area of Chicago? And I know the answer, but I'm asking anyway.
Blacks and Hispanics. Sir.
Yeah, that's who's in that area. That's who's in that area. So of course, who is that affecting? That's affecting blacks and Hispanics.
Concept.
All of this, and look, and watch it. And by the way, I know somebody's probably listening to this going like, well, they wasn't at a cookout. They wasn't doing that. But the point is, that's Labor Day weekend. That's the entire spirit of it. Right. That's the entire spirit of it. That's the whole point. That brother, he probably wasn't doing that. Like I said, he's at a gas station. They was arguing about whatever the case may have been. But that brother might not have been celebrating Labor Day weekend. He probably was just at a gas station, whatever reason, got into an argument, and now he's killed. But you think that's a coincidence? And I'm sure stuff like that goes on every day, in Chicago. But for some reason, those numbers were a lot higher over Labor Day weekend, though. It was a lot higher. It's the reason for that. Because the spirit of this place, the spirit of America. And it's like for some reason, when we decide to follow after that, we take on this spirit. It's like we damn near possessed, like by some evil spirit. I don't know what it is that's going on, but man, I'm glad I'm up in here on the UPK, man.
That's right, sir.
Because God know, I don't know where I would have been, man, in the world, what I might have been doing. I mean, I can only imagine. So, and you here. I could just only imagine, had you stayed up there in Chicago and you never found the truth.
Right.
If you never found the truth and you stayed up there in Chicago, or if you never was in the islands or whatever, I mean, I don't know, man. I hate that. Might have been you, for all I know.
Right.
But like I said, man, we got a school up there in Chicago, and it goes on all the time. But like I said, I've never heard of a brother being at camp and get shot. I've never heard of this. Never have. I've never heard of or the history of it. I've heard about shootings happening at camp, behind the camp, in front of the camp, but not at the camp. I've never, and we say the craziest, not crazy to us, but crazy to the world. We say the most craziest things to the world. Man. But that just goes to show you, man, that the spirit of the Lord is not behind this. Read 21, 21, Amos 5 and 21.
Kind, sir. This is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Solemn assemblies.
I mean, the Lord hates and despises things. And those are strong words to say you hate something. They hate and you despise it. And you utterly hate that thing. Like the Lord hates that with a perpetual hatred, as our oppressors hate us. Like that like that's the best way I probably could put that. How our oppressors hate us, how it's never ending. The Lord hates the same way, but to our heathens. The Lord hates the heathens, and not only that, not only does the Lord hates that, the Lord hates the fact that we follow after these heathens. The same people that the Lord hates, he hates that we follow after that. Our Father hates that we follow after that. And then you wonder why we end up getting killed. Somebody baby getting hit by a stray bullet or something like that. Labor Day weekend. Right. Labor Day weekend, you supposed to be resting. You know, the world says, Sunday is the rest day or whatever. But of course, that's not the Sabbath day. That's not the day of rest for us. The Sabbath day is actually Saturday. But that's another topic for another day. But, we're following after that, wondering what's going on. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but even in my neighborhood, somebody was throwing a cookout. Somebody was throwing a cookout. Next thing you know, cops get called. Right. Cops get called. They came out there twice. I'm sitting in the house. I'm like, couldn't be me though. I'm like, damn. Well, it's like it could have been me actually. Could have been me had I not been in the truth. So that's why when I look at situations, I look at that. I'm like, man, it's like in a sense, it's like you feel bad, but then you kind of don't. Because
it's one of those things where you say Thawadi Yahweh for the truth, for the Isupk and the Commander General Yohana.
Most High in Christ. Absolutely right. You're damn right, man. Because without this truth, man, that could have been me. That could have been me out there, man. I see, I'm looking out there because looking at it, I mean, it looks like they're having a good time, does it not? You could smell the food. You could, macaroni. You see all the people out there, the kids playing around. See the different men and women. You see the sisters out there. They coming out in the sundresses. It's still kind of warm. I ain't lying to you. I ain't lying. I'm gonna tell you.
They walking around in them full body suits nowadays.
I'm telling you. Look. I looked out the window and I seen two sisters in sundresses. It was like 70 something degrees, so it was hot, but it wasn't like hot. It's North Carolina, so even in September, it still be like 70 something degrees in September. So I'm looking. I'm like, damn, the sisters looking good and all that. I'm sitting, they grabbing plates and stuff, brown paper bags. They bringing stuff to the. I'm looking. I'm seeing, but I'm like, I said that could have been me a few years ago. 7-8 years ago, that could have been me over there. And then, shortly but soon, man. Right after that. Maybe about an hour or so, cops come out there. You know how that go. Same thing, man. Next thing I know, not even 30 minutes. Same cops come right back out there. Multiple calls. I'm like, what's going on? The same thing, man. And then within that same day, I saw the article. I saw this up with Chicago and Philadelphia. I'm like, damn, we can't escape it, man. It's everywhere. So you can't make this up. And nowhere I look, and I'm telling you all. And I saw white people, I saw heathens doing the same thing. They was having cookouts, grilling, but no cops were being called. Nobody was being shot. I didn't see that at all. I only saw that with blacks and Hispanics. You can't tell me you You can't tell me that this stuff is made up, man. I don't care what nobody say. All right, drop that. Give me verse 22.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 22. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offering of your fat beast.
Man, the Lord is not going to accept nothing that you try to offer. The Lord ain't accepting nothing. Lord don't want that damn. First of all, it's pork that you're cooking any damn way. Barbecue grill. The Lord don't want none of that. The Lord wants no parts of that. It is utterly disgusting. And I don't care how good the food is. Lord has nothing to do with that, because we want to celebrate that. We have our own high holidays. We have the stuff we're supposed to be celebrating. You gotta think how much of a spit in the face of the Lord that is for us to not celebrate the Passover, but you want to celebrate Labor Day? You want to celebrate Thanksgiving? Really? After killing all your people? You gotta think about how much of an insult to the Lord that is. And that's the problem with this place in America. The problem with us as blacks and Hispanics, because we choose to follow after everybody else. We choose to follow after these heathens. We want to be like everybody else, you know. But then we're the same people that turn around and get mad and call it cultural appropriation when we see a white woman wearing braids. Like, nah, don't try to do that now. Now you want to be an Israelite because somebody else wearing your stuff. You know what that sounds like me? You know what that sounds like to me, Sadak? That sounds like the kid that you got kids, right? Yeah. I'm sure you experienced this. You buy a toy for your child. They might play with it, they might not. They'll leave it alone. But then the moment another child comes in and start playing with that same toy that they didn't want, now it's a problem. Now they start crying. That is childlike behavior. But see, with that analogy, we understand that because that's a child. But in this sense, we still are children to our Father, the Lord. We still are children. And the Lord looks at us the same type of way. Right. When we decide, nah, I'm not going to keep the Passover. You know, nah, I'm not going to keep the high holidays.
Salaki, if I can add on to what you're saying, because what you're bringing out is so heavy.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing when it comes to our women wearing white or the oppressors' hairstyles and hair color.
So boy, you about to make some sisters mad, man.
I don't give a damn about that, because the truth is the truth.
I mean, I'm telling you,
go out here and see them. You know, black is the bottom of a shoe. You know what I mean? And got on the
platinum blondest
of hair, and you can't tell them, you know, they don't look good in this oppressor's hairstyle. So it's a lot.
But yeah, no. Give yourself a hand. No, you're absolutely right with that. You're absolutely right. Because let me come out here with my hair out here looking like Brad Pitt. I guarantee you, somebody gonna clown me. But first of all, I ain't gonna get a chance to step out of the house. Cause my rib gonna say something to me like, Nick, hold up, what? Girl, yeah, you know I was doing this other. Hold up, let me call you back. There's no way.
Salakia, so you not finna come around me with no blonde hair with no highlights in your head, sir. Salakia.
First of all,
it's not gonna happen.
First of all, we barely can get away with brothers growing their hair out, wanting to dye their hair, which isn't unlawful. But you see some brothers now doing the Cisco thing. I'm gonna leave that alone. I mean, it ain't unlawful, but
yeah, I mean, you know, we gotta draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta draw a line somewhere.
I think that whole, you know, at dyeing the tips of your hair a different color, okay. Let's call it quits there.
Yeah.
Once you got to sit there and, you know, you dyeing your whole head.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit too zesty for me.
Yeah.
A little too spicy.
Yeah, I gotta draw the line somewhere, man. But see, that's how the Lord looks at it. And I always use that analogy. You know, you got a child, you buy a toy for that child. That child won't play with that toy. But as soon as another kid comes up and play with that same toy, now you upset. So it's the same thing. So we don't want to keep our covenant. We don't want to keep the laws. We don't want to follow the laws. We don't want to do that. We want to follow and be like everybody else until everybody else decides to be us. Right. Now it's a problem. But of course, it'll never be like us because they not us. So it ain't going to be the same, of course. I mean, we know that. I mean, it ain't gonna be the same. Drop that. Did we? You finished 22? Okay. 23. Read that last verse.
Kind of the one concert. This is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
Take thou away from me the noise.
The what?
The noise of thy songs.
Man, turn that shit up, Slock it. Turn that mess off, man. I don't want to hear that. You want to sing all these damn songs. Oh, Christmas tree, let it snow, and the songs and the music that you got playing at your cookout because it's Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day weekend or 4th of July. None of that. And even when you go to do the history behind that stuff and you see what it's really about, has nothing to do with us. Matter of fact, it was everything to be against us to begin with. Has nothing to do with that. The Lord does not want to hear that. And we don't want to hear it neither.
Right.
Tell you that right now. We don't want to hear none of that neither. And while we at it, now what is the celebration of not just Labor Day, but what is the celebration of any of these holidays? Is it just the cookout? So the cookout is the celebration of it. It's just the cookout. That's it. Or the family get together. Like, what's the celebration of it? Like, how do you celebrate the holiday? Let me ask it that way.
You asking me, sir? You want me to answer?
Yeah. Like, how do you celebrate these holidays? Like,
at the end of the day, it's the whole, like what we were going over in class the other day. It's the spirit that comes with it. It's the vibe that comes with it that you have. You have that so-called jovial feeling when when supposedly the Christmas spirit comes over you. You know what I mean? So it's the same concept, that spirit of, we finna cook and we finna have family.
Yeah.
All of that BS.
That's it. Thank you, the water, for that, because that's a real celebration of it. Just like and I'll use Christmas and Halloween as an example, because those two are like, or Valentine's Day, because those are like much bigger. And what I mean by bigger is when it comes to Valentine's Day, I don't even know when the hell Valentine's Day the actual day is, but like what is it? Halloween, October 31st, I believe, and then Christmas, December 25th. When you talk about like those holidays specifically, those things, it's not like Halloween isn't just October 31st. Christmas isn't just December 25th. It's the whole month, because during that like right after Thanksgiving, that's when you see people putting the Christmas trees up. Right. So the entire month of October, for Halloween, then they start playing all the horror movies on TV, because that's the actual spirit of it. Because the actual day of Halloween is October 31st, right? But the entire month is the celebration of it. So that's what it means when we say the spirit of it. The spirit is that entire lifestyle of it. Same thing with Labor Day weekend. I don't know the actual day of Labor Day, but that's why they call it Labor Day weekend, because Labor Day, the actual holiday, is only one day. It's only one day, but they call it Labor Day weekend. Why? Read my mind. They call it Labor Day weekend for one reason only, because you're celebrating Labor Day the entire weekend. It's not just that one day, which is why we said, like you said, Sadat, it's the actual spirit of it. Just like with Christmas, it's the entire month. You celebrate it the entire month, but the actual day is the 25th. Right. That's the spirit behind this place. And so when we celebrate stuff like that, we then turn around and wonder what happened. Why somebody was killed. Why is everybody fighting? Why is it, we're trying to celebrate this, but we have a get together and then people start arguing or whatever, right. Because that's the spirit that's behind it, man. And the Lord is not behind it. All right, give me read the 23rd verse.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 23. Mm-hmm. Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy vowels.
So the Lord is not hearing what?
The melodies of thy vowels.
And the Lord is not hearing that. The Lord is not hearing what you got playing, whatever music that you got going on in the background. The Lord is not hearing this. The Lord is not seeing this. The Lord has nothing to do with this. Just like we shouldn't have nothing to do with this.
Drop that and get me Romans 6:1. While we're still dealing with the law not being done away with, man, on this Wednesday night class. These are things that we ought to know, man. But that's why we're having now to go out here in the world and teach our people, because these are things that your Christian church, your Christian pastors, Christian leaders should be teaching you. These are things that the Christian pastors, they should be teaching you, man. It shouldn't be, but that's not going on, because the moment that Christian pastor, Theo Dollar or TD Takes, the moment they start teaching stuff like this in the Bible, you know what's going to happen? Them seats are gonna become empty.
Right.
And the moment those seats become empty, guess what else goes empty? Those pockets, those bank accounts goes empty. No more G6 plane, I think. No more of those planes, no more private flying jet planes, no more of the big ass charter bus, no more of that, no more mega fests, none of that. What's his name? The white guy out there in Texas.
Joel Osteen.
Thank you. Joel Osteen. And he over here hiding money like he a damn drug dealer. Money in the walls, money in the ceiling. I thought that was a song.
Listen, I heard about that, and I couldn't have been the guy that found that money, because he wouldn't have known it was gone if it was me, sir. I'd have walked clean up out of there with all of that. He wouldn't have known, because he already sat there and said that it was gone. I'd have sat there and gave my 10% to Commander General Yohana.
Yeah, right.
Out with that. Because you already done stole it, so you can't call nobody about that.
Because nobody has right to stolen money. That's what it is. Like what you gonna do? You go like, okay, I saw something. I swear I thought this was a joke. A drug dealer had got, like, I don't know if he got robbed or somebody didn't pay him. This happened recently. It's something that happened. He called the police. This happened recently. Yeah. I can't remember. It happened recently. I swear I thought it was a joke. I can't remember the exact details of the story. I kind of laughed at it and just went by. So it might have been whatever. But still, like this, like it's like a drug dealer robbing another drug dealer, right? And then you trying to call the police. Like, you don't got no claim on that money. You don't. That's stolen money. And what I mean by stolen money is you're misleading people. You're lying to people. Because you saw what happened when a hurricane hit down there in Texas. What happened? They locked the damn doors on them. So then, to come to find out, over damn near $500,000 was found in the wall somewhere. Jesus Christ. And I thought that was a song. Like, I remember Young Jeezy talking about hiding chickens in the wall, hiding stuff. This motherfucker actually living a lifestyle. He really got money in the walls. So when we say things like that, like, that's your real pimps. That's your real drug dealers. Like, we not making that up. People thought we just talk just to slander. No, that's real. You find over let somebody find $500,000 in my walls right now. I'm gonna have to answer for that. The IRS, they're gonna have questions for me where I get this money from, and what, and even if I can prove that money, they're gonna want to know, well, why aren't you claiming on your taxes? Where's that money coming from? But see, when you're dealing with the Christian church and you're dealing with that, man, I think that it's classified under 501c3. A lot of stuff with them is, I forget, it's under I forget what it's called, but dealing with taxes, they can't tax churches. But I forget what it's considered, but it's something with the way that under taxes where they can't tax churches. That's a whole big scam anyway, which is why you hear about with Christian church, they're able to raise so much money like that. And you're like, why aren't they getting taxed? They don't get taxed like that. They get taxed on other ways, but not how me and you citizens. It's at a different level. That's why they're able to ask for those type of donations. That's why they're able, Theo Dollar was able to ask for that I think it was a G6 plane, something like that. He was asked. That's why he was able to ask for that, to get those type of donations like that, and yeah, because really lawfully, like, ain't nothing they really could do. They can't tax it, can't do nothing, because it's under it's like donations and charity. And with charity and donations, you can't really tax that. At least look in American law anyway. But you got Romans 6:1 though? Okay.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 6 and verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
Oh, now this is what Christians use. They love to use this one right here. Read that one more time.
What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin
So we continue in sin,
that grace may abound?
that grace may abound. Because what? Because what's the main thing that Christians love to say now? What do they say?
We're under grace.
Right, we're under grace. Oh, well, we're not under the law. That was the Old Testament. We're under grace, man. But even with that, it's foolery, man. It's buffoonery to even make that statement, because the sheer fact that somebody will make that statement, that goes to show two things. One, they don't understand what grace really is. Two, they're just doing what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to keep the law no way. So let's break down what that is. Please give me the definition of grace real quick. Better yet, give me the definition of grace. You could just Google that probably. And then get me sin in, I think it was at 1 John 3 and 4 or 5 and 3. It's either 1 John 3 and 4 or 5 and 3. I always confuse the two, because one of them is telling you what sin is, and then the other one's telling you if you love God, you keep his laws. So it's either 3 and 4 or 5 and 3.
Con, I have first off the definition of grace.
Mm-hmm.
Simple, elegance, or refinement of movement.
Is that
2 is a number of
Okay.
them, sir. 2, courteous, goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
3, do honor or credit to someone or something by one's presence.
That's it. That's it on grace. It doesn't.
Hold on, sir. Salakia, sir.
Hold on. Let me see. It got to be more. God, we know what grace is.
It says here, grace in the Christian theology, the spontaneous.
Okay, I think you read it. What was the second definition? It said something about honor.
Do honor and credit.
Okay, there we go. Do honor or credit to. Okay, so now
Salakia, sir. We want grace as far as like a grace period.
Yeah, I need the grace.
So maybe we should just look up grace period definition.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's I don't know, but I think you did read it. Go back to I heard something with goodwill. I heard something.
I said simple elegance or refined of movement, courteous goodwill.
That's it. I know that's not exactly what I want, but I'll take that, courteous and goodwill, because it is courteous, right? Because what is grace? As we always state, grace is just a time. Well, go ahead.
God, no, go for it, sir.
Because what is courteous? And if you want the definition, you can get it, but it don't matter. I'm gonna make my point regardless. Because to give somebody grace,
Salakia, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have one here that says a period oftenly allowed for payment of a sum due or from compliance with a law or command or condition.
There we go. Now, what did you find that one at?
This is all under the definition of grace. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, okay. They have multiple definitions of it.
Yeah, I had to go through them.
Okay, no sweat. Okay, now that makes sense. But nevertheless, it's still courteous though. It is, because really what grace is. Read that part again. The not the courteous part, but you just read it.
The scripture, sir?
No, not the scripture, but the one you just read of grace.
Sir. A period. It's like a period officially allowed for payment of a sum due or for compliance with a law or condition.
Right, because something was due. So whatever that due date was, you didn't do it, you didn't get it done, you didn't pay it, whatever it was. So now you're giving that grace period. So it is something that is courteous, because realistically, do you have to give somebody grace? No. Why not? Because there was an agreement that was there. So you were supposed to get this job done. You were supposed to be able to make this payment. For whatever reason, you didn't get it done. And we had an agreement, you didn't do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to have some mercy on you for right now, for you to get this time done, to get this work done, or to get this payment met by, let's say, If it was supposed to be done on the 15th, we'll say the 15th of next month. So it is courteous because I could just say, you know what, we're just gonna do this one. I'm gonna just hang it up. I could do that. So it is courteous.
Just cut the lights off now.
Right. We just cut the lights off now, man. We're gonna cut your cell phone off. We're gonna cut the internet off. You know what? We're just gonna go ahead on and evict you and kick you and the kids out the house. Now we could do that, but we're gonna be courteous instead. This is what the Lord is doing. This is what grace is. Now, did it say anything about a continuation, just continue to do something? Did it say anything like that? I didn't think I saw that neither. Because even in that same definition, when it said grace, it says do, meaning that there was a time frame, something was supposed to have been done or something supposed to have been met. So when we go back to 6:1 and we read, what shall we say then? Because it's asking the question. Shall we continue to sin that grace may abound? Like, so shall we continue to sin now that we have grace, now that grace is abound, now that we have this infinite amount of grace? Because that's how Christians think of it.
Right.
Christians think about, because even when you say the word abound, that's just a certain amount. That's what abound means. But Christians they read grace and think it's an infinite amount of time. But no, that's not it. Grace is an infinite. That's not how this works. But if that's the case, I get a house right now. I'll never pay my bills.
Right.
We're gonna start doing that. No, but grace is a time frame. It's a time for you to get it right, to get what you need done. So if you got this bill that needs to be paid, if you got a deadline, you got something that needs to be done, you got a project. Some of y'all in school, some of y'all in college right now, y'all going back trying to get that bachelor's, trying to get that master's degree. Y'all professor give you a deadline, do he or she not?
Right.
So why is it any different when it comes to the Lord? So you'll get that work done from your college professor, but you won't get that work done for the Lord? You know what you are actually saying to the Lord? You're saying that you give more respect to man than you do your own father. That's ultimately what you're saying, which is why, you turn around and get a job and things don't work out. I wonder why, man. You putting so much hard work into the Lord's work, man. You put so much time and work and effort into that. And I don't understand why, because you go to college, you take out a loan just to go to school to get a degree that you got to pay the degree off, to get a job that don't even pay you enough money any damn way. And then when you try to go get an apartment, they ask you, but do you make 3 times the rent? But your job ain't paying 3 times the rent, though. But you putting all that time and effort into that. Come on, man. And as a matter of fact, I don't think they give you a grace period for student loans, if I'm not mistaken. They do? You have so much time to do what? Right. But when I say grace, I'm talking about in how Christians use it, though. But so I think they do give you a grace period after you graduate, but even then, they're like after, I don't know how long, it's 6 months to a year, they're looking for payments. Right. And they start garnishing your wages after that. But for some reason, when it comes to this, it's any different. But see, Christians, they don't understand the Bible. See, read the 6:1 from the top. Yeah, what shall we say then?
This is the book of Romans chapter 6 and verse 1. What shall we say then?
Stop. So now what's at the end of that sentence?
A question mark.
All right, a question mark. But see, a Christian doesn't read it like that. So how we read it is, what shall we say then? We read it like that. We know it's a question. Shall we continue to sin that grace may abound? Even that's a question. But see, Christians don't read it like that. They read the Bible like it's a Dr. Seuss book. So when they read it, they just reading it like, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? And then they close the book and then that's it. Not reading the next verse. The next verse literally answers that. Go ahead.
Verse 2. God forbid.
Meaning, no, you shouldn't continue to sin that we're in grace. That's not what you do. This is what you do. Now that we're in grace, what you're supposed to do is get it right. Now you have this opportunity to learn what these laws is, to learn the actual spirit of the law, which is what we was reading earlier with Christ. That's why when we read Matthew, I think 5:21. Yeah, it was like the 5th chapter of Matthew that we read. When we was reading what Christ was doing, when he was quoting the Old Testament, and then the very next verse, I think verse 27 and 8, when he was quoting the Old Testament, and then when he makes a statement, He was actually giving the spirit of the law to his disciples. He wasn't changing anything about the law. He was trying to give the disciples the spirit of the law so they could actually, he was trying to give them the actual understanding of the law. Meaning, so instead of just saying, thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not commit adultery, he was explaining how not to kill, how not to commit adultery. Meaning, I hate to go back to the scripture, but meaning, how do you not kill your brother? Well, first of all, why are you even angry with your brother to begin with? You shouldn't be angry with your brother for that. That's nothing to be angry with. Now, there are some things that you might be, that might be a legitimate argument, but this little stuff right here, there's no reason to be angry with your brother, man. That's no reason. So to eliminate stuff like that, you won't have to kill him. You won't have to, because I don't know somebody that just killed somebody nicely. I don't know who's doing that. I ain't never heard of that. I don't know a nice or a polite way of killing somebody. I don't know that. So you eliminate stuff like that. This is what Christ was doing. Same thing with sleeping with another brother's wife. Christ was eliminating that by doing what? By saying you shouldn't even be looking at another brother or sister. You shouldn't even be looking at another brother's wife like that, let alone sleeping with him. Go ahead. Verse 2.
God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
Drop that. Give me last verse. First John. Oh, dang. What I say? I said First John.
You said one or the other.
I need the one. Just give me both. Just give me whichever comes up first.
I'll go to 3 and 4.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4.
Because a lot of times with Christians, like, they don't even understand what they're doing. They don't even understand the law a lot of times, and they don't even really know what sin is. You ask a Christian what sin is, you know what they're gonna tell you about?
What's that, sir?
Doing things that's not of the Lord. And it's like, okay, but what does that mean? That's not, you get very vague answers. Well, you're not doing things that's in the will of God, will of the Lord. Like, what does that mean though? Like, tell that to a brother on the street. He or she don't know what the hell that means. What does that mean? It's not in the will of God. Okay, explain that. Go ahead.
My thing is if you can sit there and say something like that, but then allow some homosexual man up in your choir sitting there clapping and twisting all day,
right?
How can you say that?
Yeah, that's what they go on, man. They allow that in there. They sweep stuff under the rug all the time. They do it all the time. Def Your Dollar did the same thing. Not him. What's the other that died? Yeah, Bishop Eddie Long. They took him back. They accepted him back.
I think all of his, like, most of his congregation had left and went to TD Jakes.
Yeah.
Or him with Def Your Dollar was one and they sent him back over to.
Yeah, Con. Yeah, I remember that. I think TD Jakes was like, he said something. He was like, go back or something. Yeah, I remember that. He was telling them like to go back. And I can't remember the exact words of detail, but yeah, you're right. I forgot all about that. You're absolutely right. He damn sure did.
That's their brotherhood right there. That's how they show that they love one another.
Yeah.
Don't keep giving your money to that rapist, to that robber.
Mm.
When he died, then everybody come over here and start giving me all your money. But you give him all his first.
Wow.
Let him go ahead and keep robbing you the way you've been robbing you and lying to you the way you've been lying.
You see why nothing ever gets solved over there, man? Because see, we don't do stuff like that. We that's not what we do in here. Like, situations get solved in here, and I'm not gonna go into like no great detail, but situations get resolved over here in the UPK. We don't do stuff like that. We don't sweep stuff under the rug. We don't do that. Nah, you get put out. First of all, there's gonna be a council to figure out, okay, what happened? Is this true? There's an accusation. What happened? Let's get down to the bottom of it. What scripture say? Let's get the whole matter of the law. That's what we're gonna do. But go ahead. You got 1 John 3 and 4? And this will be the last one.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
Now, what does that word mean, transgresseth? Take your time.
Trying to get you the meaning.
Transgress or transgress. You probably just type in transgress. See if I can get it.
Sir. A transgression is something that is against a command or law.
Something that's against command or law. And this was a law. Command or law. Something that goes against a commandment or something that's a law. So that's what it means. Whosoever committed sin transgresses also the law. That's what that means. So when you sin, you're actually going against the law. So when we read Romans 6:1, what was it saying? Shall we continue to sin? Hell no, you shouldn't continue to sin because you're under grace. That don't make sense. So you're going to continue to eat shrimp, crab, pork, lobster because we're under grace. So you should just continue to sleep with your brother's wife. You should just be able to continue to be homosexual and molest somebody's kids. Nah, that's not what that means. Go ahead.
For sin is the transgression of the law.
That's what it means to sin right there. That's what that means. It didn't. Now, read that last part again.
For sin is the transgression of the law.
Did it say anything about it not being the will of God? Did it say that?
For sin is the transgression of the law.
That's what sin is, man. So any Christian out there that's keep saying that, or you think because we're under grace that therefore you shall continue to sin, or whatever case may be, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible literally tells you hands down what sin actually is. Anybody telling you anything else otherwise, that's because they just want your money. That's because they don't care about you. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about the Lord, man. That's really what it is. They're just an evil, wicked person for that. They just want to do what they want to do. And with that, that's my time, Israel. We're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started in 1969, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the leadership of Commanding General Yohana. And we are not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite groups. If you are not in the ISUBK, then you are not in the truth. I'm Preaching Officer Kaparioff, man, coming at y'all out of Durham, Bull City, North Carolina, man. I'll get at y'all again next week. Shalom. You can just end it, and we'll just do the prayers.